We have some seashells that we got from the craft store. We got some that we sourced locally.
Now, before you use them, be sure to wash them. Soak them in a bit of bleach. They did come straight from the beach, so we do need to clean them.
Yep, we found them ourselves. We have our fondant that we've added a little bit of Tylose to. You can also use CMC. But the thing we really need to teach you about is Amazing Mold Putty. This is a food-safe silicone mold material that you can use to shape your own found objects. So you don't have to buy, pre-made, machine-made, mass-produced type molds. It picks up detail absolutely beautifully. It's slightly fussy to use, but once you get the hang of it, it's an absolute gem. So we have this one is part A. This one is part B. You're going to use these in a 1-to-1 ratio. Now you're safe with these until they come into contact with each other. It's very soft, nice and pliable. And when you're sizing how much you need, you want to look at the size of the piece you're going to be molding. And so if we look at this, we want to think, okay, well, if I double that, is it going to be enough to cover this the way I want to cover it? I think I need a little bit more than this. And so now we're going to mix these together. Now here's the fussy part. You have about 3 minutes working time once they come into contact with each other. So you need to massage these together to one homogeneous mass. It's a good word right there, homogeneous.
It's a good word, yeah. You said it very well.
Thank you.
Tongue twisters.
I think. Okay, so we're gonna knead this all together till we don't see any streaks. And now we have to form this into a nice smooth ball because you want the very top of your mold material to be without any cracks, because after that sets, you won't be able to get rid of those. Now the way to work with this is not to push your found object into the mold material. You'll actually spread it and squeeze it outwards and stretch whatever detail you have in here. The way you work with this is to carefully put it into the side you want and gently press and pull around. So now I'm just bringing this up around. I'm not going to completely encase this because that's going to make it difficult to pop the sugar paste out of, but I am bringing it up just a little bit around so that it doesn't look like it's kind of floating in air, and so that the edges are finished. Now you have about 3 minutes from the time you mix them until the time you have to set this aside and it's no longer pliable. So what we're going to do is take this, set it off to the side, just give it a little bit of a rock to create a flat spot on the bottom for when you're actually molding with it. And we're going to let that go. 20 minutes, it cures, and you are ready to start molding. We've already done some over here, like this guy. This is what this mold gave us. It is so beautiful. It picks up amazing fine details and will allow your brush, when you're doing the bas-relief, to really pick up a lot of shimmer, highlight some shadows. This is just a really great way to make your cake unique and never before done. So you can see how much beautiful detail this amazing mold putty picks up from the natural shell. This mold is flexible. However, if you do pull it too much, you're going to stretch and distort what's in there. So carefully push it in the center and you'll be able to kind of pop it out without getting your outsides distorted and pulled. So in order to adhere these to the cake, you can use a number of different mediums. You can use straight water, you can use Tylose glue, which you can make with just adding little scraps of your gum paste or fondant into water, or you can mix the actual powder in there as well. That takes a little bit to dissolve, but that's my favorite way to apply these things. If you're in a pinch and you have corn syrup at home, you can use corn syrup, or you can use egg whites. However, that's a particular thing with your local health authority. So long as you're using ultra pasteurized egg whites, you may be okay, but check with your health authority before you go and get all kinds of crazy like that. You can also use a piping gel, but make sure you've left it sitting out so it dehydrates a little and becomes thicker, more like corn syrup. So I'm going to start with corn syrup while our Tylose glue is mixing. I'm just going to take a flat brush. I'm going to start with my bigger pieces because I want to highlight those and let those inform where I fill in with my tinier pieces. So now I'm moving over to my Tylose glue, which is thinner than my corn syrup. So we'll see, since it's a little bit dry in here and since my pieces have had a chance to set, we'll see if this gives us just a little bit more of that melting and a little bit more of that holding quality. Again, random placement. Don't think too much about it. Now, after I place this other little piece, so that we don't waste it, we're gonna start doing our layering. This is where we're gonna use all those littler pieces that we molded. I mean, this is really beautiful, but we still have some small spaces like here and in here and right there where you see some cake, and that's not a bad thing, but it kind of also looks blank and like you might have forgotten about it. So as Erin's applying some of these last big ones, I'm gonna start filling in the gaps. All right, so we have encrusted our entire tier, these beautiful shell molds that we made. All right, let's go in and get some beautiful color on our encrusted bas-relief tier. For this, we're going to be using some rose gold luster dust and some super pearl. I'm not going to mix them completely. I'm going to use a little bit more of this, then a little bit of this, just so we have a little bit of variation, but we're gonna move them together. We're gonna very gently go across the top. I am not working this in. I'm not using a painting or pouncing motion. I'm really looking to just grab the details that the tips of the brush want to touch naturally on these pieces. I'm going to grab some of the darker color and use that. And you can see here I've got some really nice deep luster color, but up here it's still shiny, but that's from the super pearl sheen. So you can see this beautiful variation in color. It's not all flat and one-dimensional.
And I'm just over here going inside. I'm going to turn the table on you, Kara, just for a second. I'm going in to say these little sea urchins that we made and highlighting some of the inside where Kara's brushing over top and not actually going in at the cake. I'm going into some of these shells that have deeper pockets and holes, and I'm highlighting that so that it pops that out from the cake for us. You're really going to get some visual interest as you turn and go around the cake.
That luster reflects light in all the areas that are kind of sitting up. So you're gonna get this beautiful detail. I mean, this was beautiful before, but look at what that luster did to it.
Look at the striations on this one right here. That's right from the shell. When we molded that one, those came directly from the shell. And you can see them a lot better with that luster and the way it catches the light.